The envelope slipped under my apartment door like a venomous snake, its cream paper gleaming under the harsh fluorescent hallway light. I bent to pick it up, my fingers trembling as I recognized the elegant script. Mom's handwriting, always so precise, like she was signing a death warrant. Inside, a postcard from the Amalfi Coast. Azure waves crashing against cliffs, my family's faces beaming in the foreground. Dad, his arm around my younger sister Lena. Her husband Mark grinning like he'd won the lottery. And in the corner, scrawled in blue ink, "Wish you were here. But you know how it is. You never fit in on trips. Love, Mom and Dad." The words hit like a gut punch, my breath seizing in my chest. 23 years. 23 goddamn years of excuses. Summer camps, important school projects, babysitting the dog that died a decade ago. I'd swallowed it all, convinced myself it was my fault. Too awkward, too quiet, too much of a burden. But this casual cruelty, tossed like a postcard grenade. Fury ignited in my veins, hot and acrid, tasting like bile. I crumpled the card, nails digging into my palms until blood welled up, warm and sticky. How dare they? How fucking dare they parade their perfect little unit while I rotted in the shadows? I paced my cramped living room, the worn carpet muffling my footsteps, the air thick with the stale scent of takeout containers. Heartbreak clawed at my throat. Heartbreak I'd buried under layers of resentment, pretending it didn't sting. But now it erupted. Memories of peeking through airport windows as a kid, watching them board planes without a backward glance. "Be good, Alex," Dad would say, ruffling my hair like I was a pet left at the kennel. Lena, my golden sibling, always got the window seat, the souvenirs, the stories. Me. A hurried phone call from some exotic locale. "We're having fun, sweetie. Miss you. Lies. Lies." Denial whispered first. That old familiar liar. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe they'd forgotten how it sounded. But no, the words were deliberate, a blade twisted just so. I sank onto the couch, the springs creaking under my weight, and let the anger simmer into obsession. What if I showed up uninvited? What if I ruined their precious escapes? Fantasies swirled. Tampering with their itineraries, anonymous tips to customs about Dad's shady business deals. But doubt crept in, cold and insidious. Was I the monster here? They were my family, blood or not. Guilt gnawed at me. Guilt for hating them, for wishing them harm. Yet beneath it, a cold resolve hardened like ice over a lake. They owed me. For the loneliness, the therapy bills, the nights staring at ceilings wondering why I wasn't enough. The next morning, sunlight sliced through my blinds like accusatory fingers, illuminating the postcard I'd left on the coffee table. I stared at it, my coffee growing cold in my mug, the bitter steam curling upward. Inner turmoil raged. Part of me wanted to call, scream, demand answers. But that would give them power, let them dismiss me as dramatic again. Well, revenge needed planning, subtlety. I opened my laptop, fingers flying over keys, searching for their next trip. Social media was a goldmine. Lena's Instagram, all filtered perfection. Family getaway to Aspen next month. Can't wait for the slopes. Hashtag blessed family. Aspen. Snow-capped peaks, luxury lodges, the kind of place where exclusion felt like a social execution. My pulse quickened, a thrill mixing with the ache in my chest. I'd book a flight, blend into the crowds. But how to strike? Not violence, that was too crude, too final. Something poetic, something that mirrored their betrayal. Expose a secret. Dad's affair from years ago, the one I'd overheard as a teen. Or Lena's perfect marriage, cracked by Mark's gambling habit I'd stumbled upon via a mutual friend. Moral conflict twisted my gut. Was I stooping to their level? Or reclaiming what was mine? I called Lena that afternoon, testing the waters. The phone rang twice, her voice bright and breezy. "Alex." "Hey sis, what's up?" The word sis grated like sandpaper. I forced a smile into my tone, though she couldn't see it. "Just checking in. Saw your post about Aspen. Sounds amazing." A pause, barely perceptible, but there, like a hitch in her breath. "Oh yeah. It's going to be great." Mom and Dad are treating us. You know, quality time. Quality time. Without me. Humiliation burned my cheeks. Must be nice. Remember when we were kids, and I'd stay home with Aunt June. She laughed, light and tinkling, but it rang hollow. God, yeah. You hated those trips anyway. All that hiking and stuff. You're more of a homebody. Anyways, I'd begged to go. Resentment coiled tighter. Right. Homebody. Anyway, have fun. We hung up, and I sat there, phone warm in my hand, the silence of my apartment pressing in. The walls seemed closer, the faint hum of traffic outside a mocking reminder of lives moving forward without me. That night, dreams plagued me. Fragmented scenes of snowy mountains, my family laughing as I trudged behind, invisible. I woke sweating, heart pounding, obsession taking root. I'd go to Aspen. Watch them. Wait for the moment. Weeks blurred into preparation. I booked a cheap flight, a nondescript cabin on the outskirts. Far enough to stay hidden, close enough to observe. Doubt flickered. What if they spotted me? What if this blew up in my face? But anger drowned it out. I packed with care, folding clothes like weapons. Dark hoodies for blending, binoculars for spying. The airport was a sensory assault. Beeping scanners, chatter echoing off high ceilings, the metallic tang of recycled air. Boarding the plane, I gripped my armrest, resolve stealing me. This wasn't just revenge. It was justice. Aspen welcomed me with crisp, pine-scented wind whipping snowflakes against my face. The town buzzed with holiday cheer. Twinkling lights strung across chalets, the distant whoosh of skiers on slopes. I checked into my cabin, the wooden floors creaking underfoot, the fireplace crackling with forced warmth. From my window, I could see the lodge where they'd stay, opulent with floor-to-ceiling glass overlooking the valley. Tension built slowly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. I ventured out that evening, hood pulled low, heart thudding as I spotted them unloading from a SUV. Dad's broad shoulders, Mom's fur-trimmed coat, Lena and Mark trailing with luggage. They didn't see me. Why would they? I was the ghost they'd erased. I followed at a distance, boots crunching on salted paths, the cold biting through my gloves. Dinner at a slopeside restaurant. I sat in the shadows, nursing a whiskey that burned going down. Their laughter carried. Dad's booming jokes, Mom's tinkling responses. Lena leaned into Mark, whispering something that made him smirk. Envy twisted with rage. What secrets hid behind those smiles? That night, back in my cabin, I paced by the fire, flames dancing shadows on the walls. Inner thoughts warred. Part of me yearned for reconciliation, a tearful apology. But fantasies of vengeance won, imagining their faces when I revealed I'd been there all along, watching. Or worse, slipping something into their plans, a quiet sabotage. Guilt pricked. Were they truly evil, or just flawed? Dad's workaholic distance, Mom's favoritism toward Lena, who mirrored her beauty and charm. Me. The awkward outlier, bookish and introverted. But exclusion bred monsters. The next day suspense thickened. I tailed them to the slopes, skis rented under a fake name. The chairlift hummed upward, cold air numbing my face, the world shrinking below. They were ahead, oblivious. At the top I hung back, watching Dad help Lena adjust her bindings, a fatherly gesture I'd never known. Heartbreak surged, raw and unbidden. Why her? Why not me? A chance encounter nearly undid me. In the lodge cafeteria, steam rising from hot cocoa mugs, the scent of cinnamon heavy in the air. Mom turned and our eyes met across the room. Panic froze me. Did she recognize? But she smiled vaguely, like at a stranger, and looked away. Humiliation crashed over me, fueling the fire. That evening, I overheard them in the lobby, voices low but carrying. "Alex called before we left," Lena said. Sounded off. Dad grunted. "She always does. Better this way." Trips are for relaxing, not dealing with her moods. Moods. The word echoed a fresh wound. Obsession peaked. I'd make them pay. Back in my cabin I plotted. Anonymous notes, perhaps, hinting at secrets. Or tamper with their car rental, A subtle cut to the brake line. No, too dangerous, too traceable. Moral conflict raged. Revenge or forgiveness? But as snow fell outside, blanketing the world in silence, cold resolve settled. I'd confront them, but on my terms. Subtle hints emerged. A misplaced glove in their path, a whispered rumor to the lodge staff about family drama. Tension rose, quiet and calculated. They seemed on edge. Dad snapping at waiters, Mom's smile strained. Was it paranoia, or did they sense the shadow? Inner doubt whispered, turn back. But no. The betrayal ran too deep. By mid-trip, the slow burn ignited. I slipped into their suite during a ski outing. Keycard borrowed, from housekeeping with a sob story about a lost relative. The room smelled of lavender diffuser and privilege. King beds rumpled, photos on the nightstand of past vacations, me conspicuously absent. Rifling through drawers, my hands shook, guilt mixing with thrill. There, Dad's laptop, password cracked with his predictable, Family First 123. Emails poured out, shady investments, offshore accounts. And worse, a message from years ago. The adoption papers are sealed. Alex doesn't need to know, she's not ours biologically. Shock jolted me, electric. Not theirs. Heartbreak fractured into something sharper. Lena was blood. I was the charity case, the mistake. Resentment exploded. They'd known, hidden it, used it to justify exclusion. I copied files to a USB. Fingers numb, the room spinning. This was the weapon. But doubt surged. Expose it and shatter everything. Was that justice or destruction? I fled, heart hammering, snow crunching underfoot. Back in my cabin, I stared at the drive, obsession warring with fear. The plan crystallized. Reveal it during their final dinner, anonymously. Let them unravel. Moral grayness loomed. They'd hurt me, but this was nuclear. The storm hit Aspen that night. Winds howling like vengeful spirits. Snow piling against windows in drifts that blurred the world outside. I huddled in my cabin, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket, its weight a constant reminder of the bomb I'd unearthed. Guilt clawed deeper now. Adoption wasn't a crime, but hiding it. Using it to sideline me. Anger pulsed hot, overriding the cold fear in my gut. Inner conflict raged. Drop it, fly home, pretend ignorance. But fantasies of their faces, shock, regret, pushed me forward. This was poetic. They'd excluded me. Now I'd force my way in, truths bared like knives. Morning brought a whiteout, slopes closed, the town cocooned in isolation. Perfect cover. I ventured out, bundled against the gale. Ice crystals stinging my cheeks like accusations. The lodge loomed ahead, lights glowing warmly through frosted panes, a facade of coziness hiding rot. I slipped inside, shaking snow from my boots, the lobby's heat enveloping me like a false embrace. They were in the dining room. Dad nursing coffee, Mom scrolling her phone, Lena and Mark bickering softly over breakfast plates clinking with silverware. I chose a table nearby, back turned, ears straining. Dialogue floated, natural yet laced with tension. "This weather's a drag," Mark grumbled, fork scraping porcelain. "We could have been skiing." Lena sighed. "At least we're together. That's what matters." Together. The word twisted in me like a screw. Dad cleared his throat. "Speaking of, has anyone heard from Alex lately?" She seemed distant on that call. Mom waved it off. "She's fine. Always has been independent. Trips aren't her thing." Suppressed rage boiled, independent. They'd forced that on me. I gripped my mug, knuckles white, steam rising in tendrils. Subtle foreshadowing had begun. Last night, I'd left an anonymous note under their door. Secrets snowed in? The truth melts barriers. Childish perhaps, but it sowed doubt. Now, their voices held an edge, glances darting. As the day dragged, suspense built in quiet layers. Confined by the blizzard, they lounged in the great room, fire crackling, the scent of wood smoke thick. I observed from afar, nursing a book as camouflage. Inner thoughts churned, reveal now or wait. Fear whispered of consequences. Disinheritance, total severance. But obsession won. I emailed the files from a burner account to Lena's address, subject: Family Truths Uncovered. Minutes ticked like a bomb. I watched her check her phone, face paling under the firelight. "What the hell?" she muttered, drawing the others. Mark leaned in. "Babe, you okay?" She thrust the phone at Dad. This says Alex isn't biological. And your accounts, Dad. What is this? Shock rippled through them, visceral. Dad's coffee mug slipping, shattering on the hearth with a sharp crack, brown liquid pooling like blood. Mom's hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide. "How? Who sent this?" Lena's voice cracked. "It has attachments, papers, emails." "Oh God, is this true?" The room seemed to hold its breath, the storm outside mirroring the chaos. I stayed still, heart thundering, a thrill of cold resolve mingling with guilt. This was it, the retaliation undeniable. But moral conflict surged. They'd betrayed me, but exposing this hurt Lena too. Was she complicit? Or innocent? Dad snatched the phone, face reddening. "This is a hack. Has to be." But his voice wavered, secrets cracking open. Mom whispered, "We should have told her years ago." But she was difficult. We thought it best. Difficult. Heartbreak stabbed anew. I rose slowly, approaching like a specter materializing from the blizzard. Their eyes locked on me. Recognition dawning, horror blooming. "Alex!" Lena gasped, standing. "What are you doing here?" The question hung, tension electric. I met their gazes, voice steady despite the storm inside. "Fitting in. Finally." Dad blustered. "This is you. You did this." I nodded, pulling the USB from my pocket, holding it like a talisman. "You left me behind for 23 years. Said I didn't fit. But this," I gestured to the phone. "This explains why. I was never yours to begin with." Mom's tears fell, genuine or manipulative. "We loved you. We adopted you because we wanted a family. But you withdrew. The trips were hard with your moods. Lies layered with truth. My introversion as a kid, amplified by their favoritism. Resentment flared. You made me withdraw. Every exclusion was a cut. And now, your secrets are out." Mark interjected, voice tight. "This is insane. You're ruining everything." Ruining. Obsession peaked, but doubt flickered. Was this justice or pettiness? Lena approached, eyes pleading. "Alex, please. Let's talk. We can fix this." But the slow burn had erupted. I shook my head. "Too late. The emails are sent, to your investors, Dad. To the family lawyer." His face drained of color. "You wouldn't." "I did." A bluff partially, only to Lena, but the threat landed. Panic spread. Mom sobbing, Dad dialing frantically, signal weak in the storm. Suspense crested as the lodge power flickered, wind screaming. We were trapped, emotions raw. Dialogue turned desperate. "Why now?" Lena begged. "Because you sent that postcard. You never fit. It broke something." My voice cracked, authenticity bleeding through. Heartbreak mingled with triumph. Hidden motives unraveled. Dad confessed the adoption was rushed, a cover for Mom's infertility shame. Lena admitted knowing vaguely, but staying silent for peace. Moral grayness enveloped us. They weren't villains, just selfish, flawed. Me. Justified avenger or bitter saboteur. The twist came swift, shocking. As arguments peaked, Lena clutched her stomach, face twisting. "The baby. Something's wrong." Baby. Unannounced pregnancy. Foreshadowed in her pallor, her protectiveness. Guilt crashed over me. Stress I'd caused, perhaps triggering miscarriage fears. Mark rushed her to the lodge clinic, Dad following, Mom glaring at me with raw hatred. I stood alone, blizzard raging, poetic justice twisting into unexpected consequences. Their perfect family fractured, but at what cost? Resolve crumbled into regret. I'd won revenge, but lost any chance at redemption. Hours later, as the storm cleared, skies bruising purple, I packed to leave. Lena texted, "It's okay. Stress, but baby's fine. We need to talk, really talk." Psychological impact lingered. Obsession sated, but emptiness remained. Was this victory? Or mutual destruction? I boarded my flight, the mountains receding, carrying the weight of morally gray choices. Betrayal avenged, but scars deepened. In the end, exclusion birthed the monster, and perhaps a path to uneasy truth.